Hey, pro nerds. Welcome back to another episode of I'm Not Famous. I'm your host, Iggy, who is not famous. And this is your co-host, this way, Kerry, who, hey, guess what? He's also not famous. But we're here for episode 4 of this season. Are you ready, Kerry?
Dude, I'm so stoked, man. This is awesome.
Yes, this is exciting because we've known this guest for a while now. Part of our Tallgrass family, our Tallgrass Film Festival family. Sav Rodgers, who's a filmmaker from the Midwest, doing some amazing things right now. So we're so excited. Let's bring him in. Welcome, Sav.
What's up? I'm here. I'm here. I'm queer. I'm ready to also not be famous with the two of you.
Okay. Also not be famous.
I didn't know where that was going.
I'm a real wild card. Everyone knows.
There we go. So Sav is a filmmaker from the Midwest. Are you from Wichita or just in Kansas in general? Is that more appropriate?
Yeah, my history is a little weird. Moved a lot as like a little kid, and then when I was about 8, we settled in Olathe, Kansas, and been here pretty much throughout the rest of my adult life until I moved to New York and then LA, and now I'm back here for the pandemic because it beats paying rent in New York or LA.
that's very fair. That's very fair. Well, awesome. So Sav, we have if you do head over to Project Nerd, people that are watching, you can pick up. It was Queen for a Day. Is that right? We did the review on that short film.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. But the big thing that we'll probably talk a little bit about today, hopefully a lot about, is Chasing Amy, which I tell you what, just watching what has happened around that project and with you in that project has gotten me excited, like all the cool things about it. So before we head into the topic of this episode, let's let the audience know, what is Chasing Amy?
Well, first of all, thank you for always being willing to do a write-up or a podcast with me before anybody particularly cared what kind of films I made. I appreciated that. Yes. Yeah, Queen for a Day was the last short film that I did, and we made it in 2017, and then it premiered in 2019. So there's a little bit of a gap, and I haven't made a short film since, really, which is, I'd like to get back and do one. But really, the reason I haven't made a new short in a long time is because I've been working on this feature documentary called Chasing Amy, which is all about the controversial cultural legacy of Chasing Amy among the LGBTQ community, but more specifically, its personal impact on my life in the way that it totally changed it forever for the better. And it's such a specific documentary that I'm hoping that people will get a lot out of it because, it really shows, I think, the power of what movies can do for you. And I gave a TED talk about my story in my, how my life has intersected with Chasing Amy. And basically, when I was 12 years old, I saw this movie for the first time growing up in Kansas. I was super closeted, both as queer and trans. And Chasing Amy, in my view, was the first really positive depiction of LGBTQ people that I ever saw. And I really latched on to this movie, and it, kept me from making some poor decisions that would have, really hurt me and my family in the long term. This is kind of a bummer and it sucks the air out of the room, but, effectively, I was a 12-year-old suicidal kid. But this movie, it was funny, it was charming, and had all this romantic stuff. And it really gave me hope for a better future for myself. And so it's a happy ending with Chasing Amy, trust me, because after the TED Talk came out, I was able to get in touch with people who worked on Chasing Amy, including Kevin Smith, and everybody's been really supportive, and we're really excited for this movie to come out whenever it can come out. It's tough with COVID and everything, but I think we're on track to premiere in 2022, which is the 25th anniversary of Chasing Amy premiering in general. So that's kind of the genesis of the project a little bit.
Awesome. That sounds super exciting. As you said, a happy ending. I know you were a little worried talking about it, but I think that's what's so important about the TED Talk you mentioned, the Chasing Amy and all this stuff, is that the word that's been used a lot over the past few years, because it needs to be used more and more, is that representation word. And you found that representation, and like you said, it kind of helped there. So awesome. I'm
excited
about it.
Like, representation won't save you, but like my whole thing is like, I knew I existed once I saw something akin to what I was experiencing and what I was feeling inside. And it was transformative in every sense of the word. And the longer that I've been alive, the more I've had these weird intersections with Chasing Amy and the people who made it. And it has made my life infinitely better. And it's been this like very weird version of the American dream. I think this is what people dream of, is they see a movie, they see themselves, it makes them want to become a filmmaker, right? And then when the person who made that film that saved your life gives you a hand and says, hey kid, let's do this. That means everything. And not everybody has the specific desire to work in entertainment or anything like that. But, it is a very strange set of circumstances that I'm immensely grateful for.
No, it's awesome.
Now, is it about validation when you talk about, creating that piece? And one thing I do want to say, I definitely recommend everybody listen to the TED Talk. The vulnerability in your voice was very clear, and it was very emotional watching it, obviously knowing you a little bit at that time, but more importantly, how entertainment has really impacted, I think, everyone's life. The vulnerability in your voice during that TED Talk, that was tough. That was really tough to kind of listen to, and knowing, not obviously knowing how it was going to go from that. I think you got up there, you did your thing, and you walked away. But to see this huge attachment, as you mentioned, is it the validation then? Is it more so like, hey, this validates the work that I was doing, or what was it? You say representation, but was it also validation that it was received in the right way?
What do you mean by validation? Like who's getting validated in this scenario?
When you did the TED Talk and you came out and you mentioned, this piece of work that impacted your life, and then the person that created this work invites you in and continues to want you to be invested in his work, and obviously the work that you're doing now. Was that validation as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like the ultimate validation, right? Like I told Kevin this a couple of times now, but like,
first name basis here.
I know. He's the famous one. He's the famous one. I'm sorry. Do you want me to refer to him as Kevin Smith for the entire?
No, I just
let's set the ground rules. Now, but this is what I've told him a few times. It's like, you weren't my hero until like I met you. Because like anybody can make a movie, and it takes, anybody can make a movie. I do believe that. It takes a lot of hard work, and it takes just as much hard work to make a bad movie as a good movie, right? But anybody can go out and make a movie, but to treat people with the kind of kindness that I've seen, and it's not just me. If you look through Kevin's Twitter feed, he's always like, lifting up somebody. He's always like, hey, you were in a bad situation. Here's free tickets to my show. Let's like hang out, let's get a picture. I've going out with him in public where like, he's like running to like get lunch or something, and I'm just along to ask him questions about the documentary, right? Or for the documentary. And like people come up to him and they want a picture. I've never seen him turn somebody away or say no, like to somebody who like really just wanted a moment with him, and he's present and he's kind. And that's the kind of stuff that I really respect. It's not just that he's good at making movies, or that he made something that impacted me. It's the fact that he is a genuinely kind person who, like, what you see is what you get to an extent, right? Awesome. Like you see him being generous in public, and he's that way in private, in my experience as well. And that's like the best thing. And so for that guy to validate me and say like, hey kid, I think you're doing a great thing. How can I help? I'll be in the movie, like, yeah, you can come interview me at my house. Like on our first phone conversation, it was like the day after the TED Talk came out, and it was me trying to get in touch with his representatives because he had tweeted that he would participate in the movie. Like he had tweeted like, hey, if you need people for your documentary, I know somebody who can help, right? And so I like call his like agency, and I'm like, hi, Kevin Smith said he would be in my documentary. He tweeted about it. I don't know how to explain it better than that. And so they like forwarded the message to his agent and everything like that. And then he like DM'd me on Twitter and was like, hey, text me it. And then I texted him saying like, hi. And he gave me a call, right? Which was totally overwhelming. But when I called him, he was like, yeah, we can do this interview this day. And then we'll do a joint interview with me and Joey. And then she'll leave and we can do our interview. And he was just like into it, like from the get-go. And that kind of enthusiasm, especially when you don't really have any credits to your name, right? Like nobody knew me from anything except for my TED Talk. For that kind of enthusiasm to be matched and validated in that way meant everything to me. So like, you know, I think Kevin's the best. He's a super kind guy, and highly recommend if you're gonna, you know, try to meet your heroes. I guess he's a good one to meet.
It's a good one. We did meet him. I want to say it was about 6 years ago. Obviously, not at the experience and level you've had, but yes, anything from everything. We met him up in Chicago. He did a evening with Kevin Smith event, and they had to close it because of the venue. And he basically just was like, you know what, I'm going to go hang out with as many of you guys as possible over, and just, it was a thing. So awesome. Well, I want to talk, I'm always willing to talk more Kevin Smith. I want to talk about the not-profit that you also started and talk more about this too. But this season has a theme and we've got to stay on theme. So are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
That's right. Winning's winning. And it's the Fast and Furious edition. And we are on number 4, which is also called Fast and Furious, like the first one. I don't get it. But it made $363.2 million at the box office. And its plot, this great plot, is Dominic Toretto is forced to come out of hiding when a loved one is brutally murdered. Heading to LA to track down the culprit, he crosses paths with Brian O'Connor, the FBI agent whose undercover infiltration of Toretto's gang led to the motorist miscreant's exile across the border. The two men temporarily put their differences aside as they investigate the killing. Oh, I didn't even realize this. This is the one that brought the family back together. I guess Paul Walker's character and his character had a falling out. I don't know. So Sav, you told us ahead of time, but I'll let you say it again. You haven't seen these movies, so you haven't seen this one, right?
I thought what you're describing is not what I thought these movies were. I thought
don't let that description trick you. It is still this shallow.
I thought that they were all besties though, because I remember like the "See You Again" thing where they like veer off in the movie where Paul Walker died.
Saying.
So I'm confused. Are they all besties or not? It seems like they're like frenemies.
Kerry, you just did the research to get it back into the grooves of it. So tell us this. I think this kicks off the second trilogy where it sounds then like the besties happens here.
Correct. Yeah, this is where obviously Brian Toretto or Dominic Toretto, like Dominic Toretto. Yeah. Sorry.
Are they husbands now? Love that.
Pretty much. No, this is where like people forget in the first movie, exactly as you said, Sav, they were completely opposite, right? You know, when Toretto went away, like Brian, which is obviously Paul Walker's character, gives him the keys, let him go. He goes away. All right. This is his entry back in, and this starts that franchise back and them being family. So there was no Corona at the beginning of this movie. There was definitely Corona at the end, but
Corona
this brought them.
You got to specify what kind of Corona these days. It's a Corona beer.
No, it was crazy. This is the one I thought, you know, going back 2009, I believe was the release date. You know, that's a long time ago, but in the franchise, this was right after Tokyo Drift, if I recall. So you had where the previous one really had nobody from the original 2 movies in it. So this really, in my opinion, kind of unfortunately reinvented the actual the franchise. So it was a tough watch, but
y'all are shady. Oh my god!
They must be doing million.
They must be doing something right to be making that much money. And everybody else in my house has seen all of them, watches them religiously, and I've never seen one of them. So I feel like I'm the one that needs to catch up now.
Now you do, because each one has something in it that's just worth it for that single moment to watch it. And I think on the last episode we were talking about it. There's one of them to where like they have to ride up a freight elevator with the car on this tower so they can drive out the window to a lower level on the other tower. There's another one where they like have to attach the car to the train. Oh, the best one too is where what's his name? Jason Statham puts the headphones on the baby in the little carrier and then is having a gunfight to save the baby. Like
on a plane. He's doing it on a plane.
On a plane. Yes. Absurd movies.
Plane gunfight baby. Happened in Fast and Furious.
I'm sold. That's the three things I look for in a movie.
But this was definitely, Gal Gadot. I believe this was the first time that she actually entered into the franchise. So I think it was the first time that we actually got to know her, which is always good to know Gal Gadot. But yeah, it's definitely a good watch. Sav, I definitely recommend watching all 8 of them as we move into the 9th one.
I binge watched all of RuPaul's Drag Race to be current during this pandemic. I feel like I can make time for however many movies there are for this.
I feel you should go like Memento style and go in reverse.
Why? I'm going to be missing jokes. I'm going to be missing inside. I don't want it to be too inside baseball when I'm watching the 9th one first or whatever it is.
This is the problem with you being a filmmaker. You're looking for dialogue and plot.
Yes,
there isn't.
There's some dialogue. There's some dialogue in there.
They have to talk to each other. I'm sure that there's like some sort of like cutesy jokes, like to reward the fans for watching like 9 of these in a row. Like, I don't know. I feel like that might exist. I mean, I haven't seen
more research, is what you're saying. All right, I gotta go do more.
I mean, rewatch all the movies. There must be like some kind of wink moment, like for the like diehard fans that show up and make them $1 billion every year.
It's Ryan Reynolds. I think that's the one that keeps coming.
He's been in the Ryan Reynolds been on recent. Now, we've added. I think so. They've added The Rock. They've added John Cena this time around. Ryan Reynolds. Vanessa Kirby, who is Oscar nominated this year. Like you have Jason Statham was added. You had why am I blanking on his name?
Played Idris Elba, man.
Yeah, Idris Elba was in the newer ones too. Like the amount of people that in these are ridiculous. So that always leads us to, we have to ask this question on every episode. Fast and Furious 9 drops in a couple months. So they call you. Chasing Amy drops. Amazing. They call you up. They're like, we have to have you for Fast and Furious 10. So much so you can play any character you want to play in this movie. What character are you playing in this franchise you don't know that much about?
So I'm in this scenario. They saw me in this movie and they felt bad for this little queer nerd and they were like, all right, we'll give him a part. And I feel like my role would be more akin to like Taika Waititi in Green Lantern, where I'm like the nerd dude who works with one of them at their day job. And then I get brought in to like be tech support. And as tech support, I know how to hack. I know everything about rockets. I know how to fix any car. Like, kind of what they did with Kat Dennings in WandaVision, where like she's like what does she do? She's like a scientist, but then she also knows how to hack the system and figure out and can also figure out that these are like old TV waves that are happening. Like, I feel like that would be my role.
Okay.
Didn't she play the same role in Thor?
It's the same character.
But she wasn't like hacking a database. She was like the intern. Now she's like gone to college or whatever. And I'm hoping that they like bring her back more. Yeah.
Got that hacking degree.
Right, exactly. Like, general, like, cool girl can do everything with tech. She just does this and then boom, the plot is solved, right? A little bit swordfish.
Dude, I think we've got between the 4 so far that we've cast for Universal for Fast and Furious 10, with just a reminder, we are not affiliated with NBC Universal, but we have cast now 4 characters. I think we got a hell of a movie coming together, Kerry. I think we're gonna make our directorial debuts here.
Yeah. As soon as I was talking, I immediately thought of Charlie Day's character in Pacific Rim. When you started describing it, I'm like, all right,
that's me, general smart dude who can do everything that's a little abstract to the audience, and what would actually like piss off everybody who actually knew how to do that stuff. Because it's like you're just clicking on the keys. What does like Control H do? Nothing.
I like it. I like it. All right. So we had our first guest. Ellie she's a voice actress, and most notably for Apex Legends, was going to be the character that drives really slow and then ends up in the love triangle with which two did she pick? The Rock and Idris Elba, I think.
Well, and I have to. She also corrected us. It's Idris, I believe, is how it's technically pronounced.
Yeah.
Idris. Yeah, we had to look it up in that episode.
I was called Idris, but
And then we had a robot.
Okay.
Then we interviewed the robot who wanted to be the person who said the crazy line right before they die. The one who's like, "Oh, we're gonna go do this for Johnny," and then ends up dying because they. And then we had my dad who just wants to be the one who gets the big payday. And now we have the kind of like you said, the technical comedic. I liked your word, abstract relief, I guess would be the way to put it. Yeah, we got a hell of a cast coming together for this. We're gonna make a competing franchise. That's what we're gonna do.
I'm into it.
We got this going up.
Y'all are Project Nerd. I feel like you could get on this where it's like you just do one of those things where you have a robot write the script, but you input this information with the character archetypes you want and just see what happens.
I feel like that's how they get these movies, probably. But I don't.
We're doing Slow and Cautious. We're doing
Slow and Cautious. That's the name of the franchise. Slow and Cautious. All right. Well, we've talked a little Fast and Furious. We'll come back to it. Of course, our questioning at the end that we're Kerry quizzes us. But I do want to talk. I mentioned that one's the Chasing Amy. Here's the overlay I want to talk about. So your not-profit, the Transgender Film Center, which I've seen in the Pitch KC. I've seen on a couple other, it's getting some good attention. So tell us a little bit about the Transgender Film Center.
Great question. So this is basically an initiative that I came up with after South by Southwest 2020 was canceled. I was feeling very frustrated about the pandemic and what it would mean for my own healthcare, my own career, things like that. And I really thought back to when I was coming out as trans, like, what do I wish existed, and back then I was like, I really wish there was like a group I could go to like get some support. Institutionally speaking, because it didn't really exist. There were like certain networks of like trans masculine people or trans people in general, but I didn't know any of like the famous ones. I didn't really have that kind of support system that I wished I had had at that time. So I thought about, what did I wish existed back then? And so we came up with the idea for the Transgender Film Center, which is a nonprofit aiming to connect trans-made films with audiences around the world. And we do that through a couple of initiatives. We've got our Trailblazer Grants, which was our first funding initiative that we launched in November 2020 when we launched the center. And it's a virtual center right now. We don't have a physical space yet. And then we're also going to be coming out with some new programs over the course of the next year that we're really hoping will be of value to trans creatives and level the playing field a bit. Conservative or liberal estimates of how many trans people there are right now is like less than 2% of the population. However, because of how much trans people are targeted in general, how hard it is to get healthcare needs met, to have our rights not attacked all the time, I figured the Trans Film Center can be a space where we can try to help assist trans creatives and try to put a little bit of money back into their pocket so that they can go make their films. Because the biggest obstacle for any independent filmmaker in getting their project finished is money. So I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, because I'd seen a lot of lip service. I've been on a lot of diversity panels. I've seen a lot of diversity panels, and the same things continue to get said year after year. So that's about where we're at with the Trans Film Center, and we're excited that we're growing. And if people want to donate, just go to transfilmcenter.org, make a donation. It is tax deductible because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. And awesome. I'm super stoked about the work we're doing, and I'm excited for us to announce our Trailblazer Grant winners in a month or two. Sweet.
Yeah. We awesome. Well, we will share a link, and we ask you if you do go through our link or say that you found it here and you go put a donation in, let Project Nerd know, because we will match it.
We will match
the donation. So
that is
let
so kind.
us know.
Thank
so hopefully too, and that brings me to a very important point too. for those of you listening to our podcast, we have tons of podcast listeners. Head on over to our YouTube. That's where you're going to find the links. That's where you're going to find this awesome video. You get to see us doing the cool transitions for the Fast and Furious and stuff like that. So head on over there, or obviously to projectnerd.com, and we'll make sure all those links are included and you click through. Although we do love you for listening to our podcast too, like Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever it is. But anyways, now I'm rambling. That's awesome. We'd love to do that. We do have some fun set aside as we did some fundraising last year. And it just made me think of when you said that, like, we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. 2020, no doubt for most people, everybody pretty much, was a rough year. But it was also a year that I think some people were able to take a step back and get creative, and some good creative things have come out of it. And maybe even some things we haven't even seen are going to come out of it because of that. So I think that's silver lining, I guess would be a way to put it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when I was pitching the idea for the Trans Film Center to various nonprofit leaders I knew, I was like, I think this would be a good idea someday. And they were like, people are hurting now. If you launch this now, that would be amazing. Because I've seen personally a lot of nonprofits like shutter, or they've shut down grant assistance or artist support because of where we're at with the pandemic. But it's like, now's the time when we really need it. And I know that from applying to grant funds for Chasing Amy. I know that because I see my friends hurting. I see trans creatives hurting right now. I see all creatives hurting right now, working independently. And I'm sure people at like the highest level are also hurting a little bit because of the way that, you know, you can't really go to the movie theaters the same way right now, or what have you. A lot of people rely on like the live event industry or to be able to get together in person so that they can make a living wage. So anything the Trans Film Center can do to be supportive of trans creators, we are interested in. And I'm just really excited that, you know, we were able to have a pretty successful launch, and we're still fundraising. And I just want to say I am super grateful that you just said you were going to match stuff. That means the world to me. You two have been so kind to me ever since we first met at Tallgrass 2017, I believe. And
I think so.
I'm very grateful for your friendship and for you to give this platform to share what we're doing with your listeners. It's really appreciated.
Did you do a short film? Because Mia interviewed you that one year.
Yeah.
What short film was that though?
We had
the college entry, wasn't it? It was with your buddy.
With Brad. Yeah.
It was a 24-hour to make a film or something like that.
Yeah, we had done a 40. Okay, maybe that was 2018, I think, because 2017 we had Dragtivists and For Sale. Those were the two shorts that we had. And I was just out of college. And then in 2018, we had One for the Books, which was a 48-hour film that we made. That didn't look like a 48-hour film, which I was just so grateful for. And you know, it's a quick little funny short. You know, it's got like a big punchline at the end, and you know, gotten some positive responses from it. But I'm excited to like make films now that I'm out of school. You know, like I've been making Chasing Amy so long. I'm just like, okay, get me on board for like doing another comedy. I know so much more now. Like, please let me show you. So that's where we're at with that.
Awesome. Well, that is super exciting. And we have been, I said, and this is another thing we were talking about before we're recording, the Tallgrass experience is family. And what's been amazing for us is we've been welcomed in just as much as the independent filmmakers and things like that. And you always hear the same things from everybody, whether it's a filmmaker, volunteer, press, whatever, is that the experience was unexpected in such a good way that you want to come back every year. I can't tell you the amount of filmmakers we meet that are like, I want to somehow get back to Tallgrass, even if I'm not releasing a movie this year. And I think that's where you talk about like the chance to meet you, to hang out, because we get to, it could have been just the interview and that's done, but we get that opportunity to hang out in the lounge. We get those after parties, we get all the cool things to where we really get to know people, and allows us to lead to experiences like this to where we get to hang out again.
I know. And it's so fun. I mean, that was the thing that bummed me out about virtual Tallgrass this year. It's like, yeah, I see you guys, but there's nothing that beats like sitting at the bar with your friends, you know, and just like catching up on what you've been up to since the last time you saw them. And, you know, Tallgrass feels like it was all just like yesterday that I saw these people. It feels like a lifetime ago, but also not very long ago at the same time. So, but I am grateful that everybody has started a podcast during the pandemic, so I get to keep in touch with most of the Tallgrass friends, you guys included.
Right. So our problem has been is this podcast, whatever this thing is we're on, was we used to go set up at a venue like one day and do like 8 of these just at a special venue. The venue set us up. And so we spent all 2020 not doing this. And Kerry and I were like, gosh, we got to do this. And we're like, we're doing every other podcast online. Why are we not doing this one online? So we finally are back after a year and a half. So yes, it is exciting, but for some reason on this one, we're a little behind the curve this past year on it, but we're here. We're now like, we're getting it done.
We just need cool people like, Sav, you're amazing. I appreciate the kind words. You've always been so cool to me. You've educated me a lot. And I do want to say that you've really, for me personally, you've really kind of opened up a lot of conversations that I never thought I would have. I grew up in Tennessee, never thought, I would be a part of, the spectrum that we're in right now, but you've been so kind, to school me in the right way. And I really have learned a lot in not only listening to your TED Talk, watching your progression with your movie, but more importantly, you personally and the passion you have, not only for who you are, but anybody that can identify similar to you, they have a very big ally with you. So from me to you, I really appreciate the education that you've given me over these last 2 years. So thank you for that.
Kerry, you're gonna make me cry, man.
I'm seriously, yeah. Man. I'm going through second puberty. You can't just drop like emotions like that on a dude. Right. Oh man, no, that is extremely kind of you, Kerry. Thank you. Like I don't. It's interesting. There's a lot of conversations around like marginalized people and like, is it their job to educate others, right? And for me, like, I don't ever like go into anything intending to like educate. I just intend to like lead by example, right? So like,
right.
I was born in Louisiana. I was partially raised in Arkansas for a bit there. And then I spent the rest of my adolescence in Kansas. I, am familiar with people who like don't know everything at first. And so while there is a part of me that's, always nervous where it's like, are they going to like me if they find out like, that I'm queer, that I'm trans, that was a big fear of mine coming up. But I've found that leading with like who I am first, I guess, and then like using that as a way for people to get to know trans people and queer people better, I found to be a lot easier for making friendships. I don't know, like not hiding that stuff about me. Like I say it loud and proud all the time because I feel like I have to, but like, I don't think it's, I don't know how to say this. I guess it's just like, I don't know everybody's political background before I meet them. I don't know what their life experience has been, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And like, for you to say that, like, this is the first time I'm hearing that maybe like you had to do some growing of your own, but like, you've always treated me with such kindness, both of you. And I'm so grateful that like our friendship, our rapport, what have you, could be valuable to you in that way. That makes me feel like I'm actually doing something right with the way that I approach things. I don't know. So thank you for validating me just there. But I'm also glad that you've been able to like, I don't know, grow and like learn and like, all the things I don't know about, you, So thank you.
No, it's awesome. I don't know where to go from there now. We've hit,
it's so sincere. God damn it.
The whole season's done. We're done.
Damn it, Kerry.
I'm sorry. I had
nothing to follow up that tender, beautiful moment with.
No, actually, not seeing you at Tallgrass has been, it's one of those things. Iggy asked, what do you miss most about Tallgrass? And it was exactly what you guys were talking about. It promotes exactly what we've been joking about in Fast and Furious. It promotes a real family environment. The people that if you're willing to meet people and willing to open up and be who you really want to be, then people are there to receive it. And I think in the industry you're talking about, the industry you work in, there's a lot of fakeness, and we hear that a lot. But then you get around people like Project Nerd, and for whatever reason, we just open up this tunnel for people to be themselves. And I've had the joy and the benefit of being a part of this, and specifically Tallgrass. So, not having it last year, that hurt. That's the first one and probably the only one, because they're like, well, what about this one? What about that one? But the one that we circle on every year is November in Wichita. That's the one we're going to be there no matter what. and it's the people that we meet, and it's the opportunities we have to meet amazing people like you that I continue to be appreciative of. So it does mean a lot.
My heart.
Awesome.
This is so sincere and sentimental. I thought we were just gonna talk about how I didn't know anything about Fast and Furious. But
let's do that.
No.
This is even better.
Let's do that. We're tight on time, so let's head on in to the final phase of the episode. It's time for a Fast and Furious showdown.
What are you smiling about?
Dude, I almost had you.
You almost had me?
Fast and Furious showdown. So for those of you not familiar, Kerry has prepped a few movie quotes, either from Fast and Furious 4 or from something else. And it's going to say the quote, and Sav and I have to guess whether it is a Fast and Furious quote or whether it is not a Fast and Furious quote. Ready? Yes. All right.
Let's do it. All right.
You got this, Kerry.
I love this. I'm going to start you off with one here. Get back in the car and get out of here.
I mean, that feels like it could be a trick question. Question, timeout, real quick. Are these quotes that are either from Fast and Furious or another movie, or could this just be something you said to like your kid the other day?
No, this would be either a quote from Fast and Furious or another movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Iggy, what are you thinking?
I see. That's why I'm always never sure, because when it feels like it's too obvious, I always want to say it's a trick, right? But Kerry's done a good job so far of just putting some obvious ones out there and making us not trust our first instinct. So I think I go Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I'll go with you, Iggy.
Okay.
It was from Chasing Amy.
Are you fucking serious?
Oh, that's
wait a minute. Hold on. Say the quote again.
Get back in the car and get out of here.
Is that from like the rain scene? Like when they're...
I'm not certain. I believe Holden is the one that said it, though.
Get back in the car and get out of here. Now I'm like doubting, you have no idea what this has done to me.
Like Sav's gonna cancel Chasing Game and all the stuff. You proved everything.
Wait. Now I'm really gonna have to figure this out. Okay. There's a script book I have on my shelf over there that I'm gonna thumb through as soon as we're done with this. I'm gonna really think about this. All right, continue.
All right, what's the next one?
Yes. Okay, the next one. To the ladies we've loved and the ladies we've lost.
No, that's Fast and Furious, because the whole point isn't the one person dead in this one?
Is this when Wonder Woman dies?
No. This is the one when they think Michelle Rodriguez is dead.
That is
so
correct.
I'm going to say I think that's the Fast Furious quote because they think she's dead at that point.
All right, I'll go with Iggy.
That is from Fast and Furious. You are correct.
Excellent.
All right.
I'm still traumatized about the Chasing Amy quote. Oh my god.
Dude, a great one.
That it shows in here was Alyssa Jones is who's saying it.
I think that has to be from the scene where Holden declares his love for her, and then they're fighting in the rain about it, and she's like, "Go home, Holden, just go home." That's what she. Okay, now I have to look this up again.
I feel like you're right. Okay.
All right.
Another one.
The next one more. Yeah. So I got. You want to do one more, and we'll bounce.
One more, yeah, because we're getting tight on time here.
All right.
So let's see here. There's a million fine-looking women in the world, dude, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work.
That's a Clerks quote. Don't try to come for me today.
Yeah,
that's from Clerks.
That's the lasagna one.
God damn it.
Yep. Do another one. That one was quick. So do one more. One more. Okay.
Let's see. Did you know I always wanted to be a dancer in Vegas?
That's Chasing Amy. That's Silent Bob when Jay is saying, that he knows everything about Jay, and he's like, "Bitch, what you know about me could fill the fucking Grand Canyon. You know I wanted to be a dancer in Vegas," and he does the showgirls thing.
Wow.
I am not gonna have 100%. I'm not gonna have my street cred tested too much today.
Awesome. Great job. We'll say you won the showdown. Fast and Furious showdown. Obviously. One last time for the audience there. We're not affiliated with NBC Universal. Please don't sue us. That's it. All right. Awesome.
That being said, Wait, hold on. That being said, I think you guys would be open to some sort of sponsorship. So don't hesitate to reach out. NBC, please.
We're just saying we don't want the lawsuit. If you want to give us any kind of other partnership or sponsorship, the door is wide open. So awesome. Well, Sav, it's been a pleasure. I'll remind people that you can head on over to projectnerd.com or our YouTube channel where we post these to get those links. We're going to share all the links, of course, that are relevant to today's conversation or few weeks back conversation by the time this airs, but today to us. And as always, make sure you keep your eyes open for Chasing Amy. We did, I don't know if Sav remembers, way back in the day, send us a little sneak peek early sizzle reel. And it got me even more excited for it. So I'm also a huge Kevin Smith fan. Like, I've seen him live a few times. And speaking of Chasing Amy and stuff like that, I've been showing my fiance had only seen a couple of them. So we spent a lot of 2020 watching movies, and the Kevin Smith movies were definitely in that list. So
there's a lot of Kevin Smith to catch up on. My wife hadn't seen anything but Chasing Amy when like the first time she ever came to visit me in person. We were long distance. She was in Mexico, I was in Kansas, and she had never seen a Kevin Smith movie. So we watched Chasing Amy. And so I've convinced her to watch another one during the pandemic, which was Tusk. And now she's like, why didn't you make a movie about that? That's a way better movie. So that's where we're at for that. But okay. Yeah, I'm super grateful, for all the support and everything like that. And if people want to follow Chasing Amy on social, we're at ChasingAmy.com on all social media platforms except TikTok, because I don't know how to do that.
That's fair. We're not over there either. So awesome, Sav. It was a pleasure. We're so glad we get to stay in touch with you. We are so hoping. And this is for all of you audience people out there, go get your ass vaccinated so we can have Tall Grass in October. So anybody in the Midwest, we need these film festivals. So, all right. Awesome. Kerry, Sav, any last words before we close?
Your boy is already vaccinated, and the worst thing that happened was that my arm was sore. So definitely go get that done. And if you want to engage with me on social media, I'm at Sav Rodgers Film on Instagram and at Snack Pack on Twitter. Please tell me your opinions of Chasing Amy, whether you like it or not. You do not have to like it just because I'm a nerd that made a movie about it.
There you go. Awesome. Sav, again, it was a pleasure. Kerry, always a pleasure hosting these with you. So until the next episode, that's it for I'm Not Famous.